and I wasn't ready for what came out of her mouth. And what she shared with me was, um, she was she was in the final stages of HIV. Her
Mm.
husband had left her. Her daughter had HIV. Her daughter was maybe 8 or 9 at the time. And she just shared with me her story about her struggles and her pain. And she wasn't sure how long she was going to be on this earth and what was going to happen to her daughter. But I mean, she just looked up. I'll never forget this. She just looked up and said, I'll praise God till the day I die. And I'm so thankful
Mm.
for everything that He has given me and blessed me with. And in that moment, I just felt like so convicted and so humbled that she would share some of her inmost fears and concerns, but still praise God. It taught me a really big lesson.
Unfinished business, stand up tall. Alpha Cadence.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Unfinished Business, a podcast for veterans pursuing new life missions. I've sat with a lot of people on this show, veterans, fighters, survivors, people who have seen too much and still show up. But today's conversation is different. This one starts in silence with a young woman, 20 years old, on the verge of her own unraveling, just asking for a way out. And what she got wasn't a rescue, it was a vow. I will serve you at whatever the cost. She didn't pursue leadership, she followed her conviction. And for the last 2 decades, she's been answering a whisper that never let go. From building homeless outreach in Texas to standing barefoot on Ethiopian soil, to now leading Airpower Foundation, where she holds space for veterans and treats it like sacred ground. This episode is not about nonprofit structure. It's about what happens when a life becomes a mission and when the real cost shows up after the cheering stops. So I want you to lean in because Melissa Dabi didn't come here to impress. She came here to walk beside you. This is Unfinished Business, a podcast for veterans pursuing new life missions. And today we're talking about what happens when the smallest yes becomes everything you build from. Melissa, it's awesome to have you on Unfinished Business, a podcast for veterans pursuing new life missions. How did I hit the intro? What'd you think?
It was awesome, amazing.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you for having me today. I really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure and honor. You know, I have so much respect and admiration for the work you and your team are doing with Airpower Foundation. As I told you off camera, I've been following this organization for a while, and I was figuring out a way when we would get together and I would shine some light on you guys and all the amazing things you're doing for veterans like myself. So I appreciate you.
Yeah, well, thank you. And it's a really honor to be here and to be able to talk about Airpower and the work that we're doing. I mean, we have such a wonderful team that works so hard and are so dedicated and committed to, helping all of our military, but specifically our veterans.
Yeah, and it shows. It shows by your outreach. It shows by just the exuberance I've seen from Gold Star family members, from veterans, and just the community as a whole. How much support you have, and just some of your events are like spectacular. I'm like, wow, star-studded events, and they're really cool. So I'm glad to have you here to share a spotlight with you.
Thank you.
But let's get started.
Sure.
Okay. In the intro, I talked about silence, right?
You
Do,
did.
do you remember this? Do you remember the silence after the prayer that we talked about? Is I will follow you at whatever cost. The moment just before anything changed. Do you remember the silence after the prayer?
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever forget that moment. I mean, it's one of those times in your life that is a defining moment, and that was a deafening silence. And it's almost like I was transported out of my body for a moment. It felt like a lifetime, but I know it was only for a few minutes. And with just an overwhelming peace and just an understanding I hadn't really experienced before in my life, and probably an experience I'll never forget.
Yeah. And during that time, what were you battling? What was like, the internal struggle? What was that like? Was internal, external stuff?
I mean, I think probably, if I'm being honest, it was a little bit of both. I was just I just took a wrong path at that time in my life and found myself really lost and in a broken place and separated from everyone and everything that I knew, and was just involved in some things that, I was probably drinking too much and, living that lifestyle a little too hard. And I was lost.
Yeah.
I just found myself in a very dark and lost place.
That's a story that a lot of, many people,
Mhm.
not just veterans, but a lot of people go through. They're trying to have those internal battles of the
Mhm.
quality of life they're living, right?
Mhm.
Before the vow, before the surrender, was there a voice inside you that said, "Not me"? What did that voice sound like, and how long did it last?
Yeah, I think I still have that voice. Honestly, I don't think that voice ever really leaves. And maybe it wasn't a not me, but why me?
Mm,
And why would you choose me? Why would you rescue me? It's maybe more of that. And I think that continues to follow me when I find myself in situations that like I have no knowledge about, or I'm in doing a project or a program and I really don't know the answer
mm.
or the way to go, and I'm always like, why me? Like, why have you chosen me for this particular mission? And I think it's just, God is always leading us and guiding us and giving us the answers and giving us those instructions. We just have to be silent sometimes and listen for it.
Yeah, and how is that journey of where you don't have all the answers? How has that helped you evolve and strengthen you? How
Mhm.
does that help?
Yeah, I think it's probably one of the greatest things of my life because it has taught me to trust,
Mm,
not on my own understanding, but to rely on the trust of others around me. But most importantly, to trust God that has given me this direction and this purpose, and to trust Him and to rely on Him and to seek Him for those answers and those solutions, along with having a team around me that I can trust.
that's beautiful. And
Mhm.
you're in developing a team around you.
Mhm.
What are some of the qualities that you look to in team members that you need to have around you?
That's a great question. I think honesty is number one, and the same commitment and passion. I think without passion, and you really don't belong in that spot. Maybe you belong somewhere else, but you have to have passion for the mission that we have at hand. I
Yeah.
mean, it's probably the number one.
That's amazing. Okay, when we talk about Air Power Foundation, you've become a steady presence for veterans and Gold Star families during the most vulnerable times. And I was going to ask you some of that, some of your team members, you want them to have be a little bit
Hmm.
vulnerable as well.
Hmm.
Um, um, what was there ever a time you questioned whether you were ready for that kind of sacred trust?
I mean, I had to probably go back and think, if I reflected on that and went back into my past a little bit. And there was a time when I was in the middle of Ethiopia, and I'm going to share this story if that's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, absolutely.
And I was going to meet a lady and her daughter who was in one of our programs. And I walked through her house, and her house is probably 20 by 20, little square, right? And really didn't have much in there, maybe one bed and a little cook stove. And I was bringing her some teff and some coffee. Coffee's really important in Ethiopia,
Hmm.
and some other flours and rice and stuff like that, and pasta. And so I sat down, and she wanted to make some coffee. She wanted to make lunch, and I said, "No way, yeah, like you're not, you don't have much. You're not making me lunch." But she wanted to make coffee, so they made coffee, and her and her daughter, and we're sitting around. And I started asking her questions about, her life, and I wasn't ready for what came out of her mouth. And what she shared with me was um, she was she was in the final stages of HIV. Her
Hmm.
husband had left her. Her daughter had HIV. Her daughter was maybe 8 or 9 at the time. And she just shared with me her story about her struggles and her pain. And she wasn't sure how long she was going to be on this earth and what was going to happen to her daughter. But I mean, she just looked up. I'll never forget this. She just looked up and said, "I'll praise God till the day I die." And I'm so thankful
Hmm.
for everything that He has given me and blessed me with. And in that moment, I just felt like so convicted and so humbled that she would share some of her inmost fears and concerns, but still praise God. It taught me a really big lesson. And then just recently, we had the POWs were here
Hmm.
in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and the big group of them were going to JRB to do a refuel and just, do a tour of the base. And there was a group that didn't want to go. And so me and Wanda and a couple other people from Airpower, we decided to take the group that didn't want to go to the stockyards. And that was a lot of fun. And I remember driving, and I had the gentleman sitting next to me. He started telling me his story. I won't name his name, but he told me the struggles he had when he came back from Vietnam, and oh, it was just really hard to hear how the world treated him,
Mm,
and he told me some things about how his wife treated him almost like a leper, right? And
mm.
didn't want to have anything to do with him, and how he was just lost and didn't feel welcome. And when you hear those are sacred moments, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if you ever get used to them. I don't know if you can ever be in a space where it just becomes, a normal thing, but you hold those stories close to your heart, and you just want to love on them and listen, because sometimes it's not about us fixing the problem. It's just about us listening to what they have to say, and just love them through it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Also, as you were talking and thinking about it, I was like, how much is that his story like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like is kind of a mirror, maybe in some part of your life you kind of resonate with some of that isolation or maybe the
Mm-hmm.
rejection and that kind of thing. And even with the woman in Ethiopia where she's saying, I'll always thank God for everything he's given me. Like
Yeah.
how much of that is like part of you ingrained in you?
Oh, it is. I think it is me. I think, I live that and I breathe that. And those moments when people share that, it is a reflection, right? I think you're reflecting something to them so that they can, I hope it's the reflection of Christ, right?
Yeah.
Where they feel open to share something with me. And it's always really encouraging to me and a reminder to me to slow down and to listen and to really look people in the eye when you're speaking and to give people space to share. So yeah,
Yeah. You think God actually placed you there for a reason?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think so too. Um, you made a vow to serve, right?
hmm
At whatever the cost.
hmm
What have you lost by keeping that promise?
Oh, I, l- I like to kind of flip that sometimes and
Yeah.
say it's not always about what I've lost, but what I've gained through it.
Mm,
Because yeah, I have lost a lot. I've lost friends, at times family members, a whole community of believers, Christians, I would say at a point in time. I've lost jobs that I could have, in the secular world that I passed up to, stay true to my calling in
mm,
life. Um, I've lost that foundation where you are always rooted in one place. I've never been really rooted in one place. I'm always traveling. So I've lost kind of that community connection over a period of time. But
mm,
I've gained so much, like so much knowledge and so much experience of seeing different cultures and understanding people and different religions and how we all can work together and serve together and still love one another through it. I've gained so much in the people that I've met that that I've been able to learn from and grow from. It's been an incredible journey so far.
that's beautiful. And this question, I did not think that you would flip it on its. No, I did not
Yeah.
think that you would not do that. So I was like, but she's probably gonna flip this
Yeah.
question, which is awesome
Because
because
I've gained so much from it.
yeah,
I have an education that I couldn't buy. I've learned so much about the world and people and about myself and about what God can do with a little bit of nothing and turn it into something incredible. So,
that's amazing. Well, let's talk about Airpower
yeah,
Foundation and
let's
what
do it.
you've learned through your affiliation with them and
Mhm.
how you what the beginning at the very beginning. What did
Mhm.
what was the first lesson you learned in being being partnering and working
Mhm.
with them?
I think for me, I always take a step back first and I look at all the moving parts of an organization and say, okay, what's broken, what's working well, and what are some things we need to implement? Do we need to bring some more staff in? Do we need what is it that the organization needs? And I think the biggest impact or the biggest thing that I saw is just the love for our military community. You cannot be around an air power person and not fall in love with a veteran or an active duty or a reservist because it is, we live and breathe it every single day. And that's the number one thing that I guess hit home with me when I started, going to different events and speaking with different people in the organization. It's just the commitment levels is crazy off the charts.
And a little bit about Airpower Foundation. Tell us about it.
Yeah. So We are a nonprofit. We've been around for over 25 years now, which is an incredible amount of time. And we serve our past, present, and future military, which means for our past, it's our veterans, our Gold Star families, and their families. So we don't just focus on that veteran, but it's also their families. Because if you don't fix the core, the whole family, then it's still going to remain broken, right? So we have to look at everything from a holistic standpoint. And then our present obviously is, we're really connected to the NAS, JRB, the local base here in Fort Worth, and local communities, and even Fort Hood, and providing cars, or, we have the food pantry at JRB. They came a couple of years ago during COVID and said, some of our younger enlistees need some help. And so we built a food pantry, and with the help with other people like the Airpower Council, we continue to keep that stocked, and I don't know, we just do a lot with all of our active duty.
Yeah.
And then our future, it's really exciting because we have some education outreach programs with our rodeo royalty group, who are young women who go around and advocate and are ambassadors for Airpower. But we're really connected with the junior ROTCs,
Oh, wow.
which we provide scholarships for them. And we work with underprivileged schools mainly. And then we provide opportunities for them to present the colors and come to different events. So it's a real honor to have them there, honestly, and gives them some experience. So
That's so cool. Like so much uplifting and building up of different types of advocacy, right? It's like, I had the pleasure of having one, maybe you can connect me with some other Gold Star parents, like Carla Wicks. She's a Gold Star mom, and I had her on my podcast, and I learned so much from that conversation, just hearing how she went through the grief process of losing her son, Paul, and it was an amazing conversation to be a part of. So I see that you probably walk through that with people.
Yeah, and what's so amazing to me, that even though they lost their son or their daughter, but just I think I might be a little bitter, but they're not. And they're still their outpouring of love for our military and our country is still so evident. And it is just so incredible to me to see that flow through them.
Yeah, and also have a friend, Kara Martin.
Yeah,
She has a compelling story too. Yeah.
She's on one of our committees, actually.
Yeah, I've had her on a couple of podcasts, I believe. And
amazing.
Yeah, amazing. I know you've done a lot of work with her, and the things she had to endure and confront. And it's been a amazing partnership to watch you guys intermingle with her, and kind of forge that bond of brother and sisterhood with your organization, with her and her story, and has been awesome.
Yeah, I love Karen. She's great, and I love that she volunteers with us. And I'll tell you, it's not just, hey, we want to, provide some support to you. It's like, hey, no, we want you to come along with us. You're our friend, you're our family now, and we're going to walk through this with you. And that's how I think our approach is with everybody that we meet or we support. It's like, you're in the fold now. Like you're with us now.
And now that you mention it, I could say that maybe there was a post that I read that kind of reignited this conversation about wanting to get you on the podcast. Was something that she posted recently, was like, what kind of partnership and how y'all stood side by side. I always say, like what I said in the intro, is that she walked beside you, and I think that reinvigorated this spark for, it's like, hey, you got to reach out to them again, man. Then don't take, it's been a while since you reached out to them. Let's give it one more shot.
Yeah, I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. When did you first sense that your voice carried healing, not just action?
Oh, gosh. Again, I would probably have to say, I'd go back. Like I said, I think God's been preparing me through all these years to this moment. I think this is where I'm supposed to be at this time. And I remember I was doing a training. We were doing a training in the middle of nowhere out in southern Ethiopia, and we were doing leadership training for the men and the women. And I remember I was speaking to the women, and I don't know, I always go rogue a little bit when I'm supposed to stay on script, and just the Holy Spirit came over me, and I started talking about, your passion and what do you want to be in your life, and what changes would you make? And they had never heard that before. And I remember one by one, each one of those women saying, I've never been able to speak this out loud before, but they started sharing what they were passionate about and what their dreams were. And one lady came to me, she goes, I've never been able to dream out loud before.
Wow.
And so our words have power
Yeah.
and they resonate. And I'll wrap that up by a couple months later, the leaders, they called and said, we need to have a meeting with you. And I'm like, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. Like I've ignited some fire and they're gonna yell at me. And so I went out there and met with them, and it's about 20 men and me. And I knew what the question was coming. And they said, we want to know what you told our women. And I said, well, this is what I said. And they said, we just want to thank you, because for some of the men, it was the first time, like they saw this one man, he was just crying. They're like, what's wrong with you? Stop crying. And it was the first time that he saw his wife as a human.
Mm.
And so when we go out and we speak about our veterans or our active duty or doing a send-off, our words have power. And long after we're gone, those words continue to resonate in people's hearts and in their minds. So we have to be really careful about what we say and what we do. And anytime that I get an opportunity to speak in front of a group of, especially when there's military there, I'm very cautious because I want to honor them, number one. I want to be able to thank them, but also want there to be a place where they can share, because it's always about, that's where this healing starts, right? Is when you start that conversation and they can start sharing, and then they can begin to heal.
Yeah. Do you believe that our stories are never meant to be carried alone?
Yeah.
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 That's kind of one of those things where you have some dreams and you emote them out loud. Your God is listening to you, the desires of your heart. You're putting that extra effort into the world to say it.
Mm-hmm.
You're just holding it in and keeping it to yourself and not giving it life into the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's awesome. When the audience leaves and the spotlight fades, what still lingers with you in the quiet? What truths stay with you long after the event is over?
A lot of reflection, number one, but I think I always go to, again, I think about the team and what an incredible, amazing group of, staff and board of directors and our volunteers. They're just incredible. And I'm so thankful for them. First off, is what I think about. And then I go to, it's never enough. What are we going to do next? What can we do to increase the support? It's always, it's never, we can't stop right here.
Yeah.
It's like we gotta keep going, and how can we do it better? How can we, affect more people? How can we educate our community more? Because I think there is still a lot of education in our community that needs to happen to bring some of these issues that are here to the forefront. I think there's still some challenges there, and maybe, did we make an impact too? What was that impact? Did we accomplish, what we were meant to do? I mean, I think it's just a lot of reflection.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. I think, having that reflection and seeing how can you do more, right? And, I remember when I think I told you off the record that I didn't want to have anything to do with veteran advocacy or anything. I just wanted to forget about it. And God said, I'm going to pull you. Now you're going to go help start the first Briscoe Veterans Appreciation event. You're going to start a podcast and you're going to invite an executive director to be on the podcast. And God's saying, you're going to keep going down this road because you got some listening to do, son. So I appreciate that is having to do more and get more people activated. Yeah, that's amazing. Was there ever a moment at Airpower that maybe a failed grant or standing with a family that lost everything, where you sat with yourself and thought that I'm not the one for this?
I mean, there's a lot of disappointment and there's a lot of failures in nonprofit. I mean, there are more failures probably than successes, honestly, because nonprofit work is hard. And especially during times of economic, ups and downs, it can be really challenging. But yeah, I mean, I think we all think that at times is like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be, I don't know if is this the right place for me? But yeah, I mean, it lasts for an instant because I have a conviction that and a passion that I know this is where I'm supposed to be. And it's just finding the right solution to support that, family, or support that single mom that might need some help covering her rent or her home, mortgage for that month, because she just can't make it through that day. And those things happen, and we just have to find the solution and do it.
Yeah. It's true. Like, I think it's a game of inches. You
Mhm.
could help somebody just so small,
Mhm.
I think I shared this with, what's it called? Vets Forever interview, and I was telling them that I needed like $170 to make rent a long time ago, well, many years ago, and I reached out to a nonprofit
Mhm.
veterans advocacy called Coda Vets, and she heard my story, and she
Mhm.
sent me that $174, and
Wow.
I could have got evicted, could have ruined my
Mhm.
credit, and I say that's why it's like it pulled me out of a hard jam. Just $174 doesn't seem like a lot, but it was. But not only that, I think the help, like that hope,
Mhm.
the help equals
Right.
hope.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like somebody's kind enough that's putting forth that extra.
Yeah, and sometimes it is just that smallest of, gift that changes
Yeah,
everything for somebody. Even when you sit and listen to a veteran who's maybe struggling, you have no idea really what their backstory is, but you sense they're struggling with something. And sometimes, I mean, it's quite literally between life and death. And if you can stand in that space and you can stand in the gap for just a minute for somebody, it makes a world of difference.
yeah. Um, if let's see, when the missions and the metrics start pulling at each other,
Mhm.
when doing what's right means losing ground, what do you choose to protect?
Oh, well, for me, it's always the people. I mean, it's always the mission. And I would say the same is true for Air Power. I mean, there's times where, we'll get a call and we haven't budgeted for it. It wasn't something we were expecting. And does it match? Is it something we just find an answer? I mean, I say this often, but I always say it's never a no. It's like give us a minute, let
Ah,
us figure out a
yeah.
solution, and we'll get back to you and help you take care of it. But yeah, I think it's when you start focusing too much on the metrics
Hmm.
and you forget why you're doing what you're doing, and you forget that it's about the people at the end of the day, then you've already lost the game. I mean,
Yeah.
you've already lost,
Yeah.
and you have to stay focused. I mean, there's a healthy balance, but sometimes if there's a choice, you go with people.
Yeah, in fact, that is one of the essence that I feel from Air
Mhm.
Power. When
Mhm.
your feeds come in, I see that it's not it's never a no. It's like, what can we do to like take that? So that essence is alive and it's breathing spirit, because I feel it when
Yeah.
this is the first time we've met, and
Mhm.
and this is the first time I've gotten acquainted with. And then the essence has always spoke that. So I just want you to know you're doing a great job with that for
Well,
sure.
thank you so much.
You're welcome. If veterans and families you serve could catch a glimpse of you on an ordinary
Mhm.
day, off stage, real and present, what would you hope they see, and what part of you would you choose to keep to yourself?
Mhm. So I hope they would see the same person that they saw on the stage or in the community, because I am who I am,
Yeah.
and I do what I say, and I mean every word of what I say, and I live that every single day. When in the morning I get up, I think about what can I do today? What can we do differently to be better? And it is the last thing I think about, when I go to bed. And we just recently finished that walk 22.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, for about 3 months, it was just nonstop, that, and on my heart, on my mind. And I think eh, I just live and breathe it every day. And I hope that they would see that and sense that it's not for show.
Mm.
Like, Air Power is not for show. We're not just up there to try to get our names up there and out there in the community. We do what we say we're going to do, and I hope that's what they see.
Yeah.
I think the things that I would keep sacred are those um, moments that I absorb that energy of brokenness and healing and fear and happiness.
Hmm.
A lot of times I'm just on my knees and I'm praying to God about it, and how to deal with that and how to carry that. It's not always easy, because you hear a lot, you see a lot,
Yeah.
and you carry it with you a lot. And there's some times where I'm just a broken mess because it's overwhelming. And so I hope they never see that part of me.
Mm.
Yeah, I keep that a little sacred.
Yeah, that's between you and God,
Yeah,
right? Like God
yeah.
gets to see that, and He gives you that light to keep on going.
Mhm.
Long after your name fades and only impact remains, what piece of the mission do you hope still echoes in someone's heart?
Mm. I hope that what they see and what they're left with is that lives are being changed. And even if any of our names never existed or no one knows them, that is amazing to me, and that would be perfect.
Mm.
As long as they were left with that lives were changed and lives were saved and lives were impacted. That's what matters at the end of the day, nothing else.
Wow. Well, we're gonna have to get some of those testimonies on unfinished business. Okay.
Yeah,
So let's figure out
absolutely.
how we can team that.
Yeah, I would love that.
Put some spotlight for Airpower Foundation and some of the stuff we do. We can collab on somehow.
Okay, I love
Um,
that.
okay. So here's the exciting part. Talk about what's going on with Airpower Foundation. What you guys got going? What events are happening?
Okay, yeah.
Stuff like that.
I'd love to. Oh, but I can't, I have to talk about what we just finished up, if
Yeah,
that's okay.
let's go.
So,
Yeah.
we had this little idea back in January, February, and Cam Rinkley-Nutt, who's our marketing director, and Ian Shelley, who's on our board, and we just rallied around this bringing awareness to veteran PTSD and veteran suicide.
Mm.
And so we did a walk through the month of June, and our goal was to raise around 15 or 20 around $20,000, and we just finished up. We're actually bringing in some more funds, but we're sitting right at a little over $22,000 right now.
Wow.
And we're providing a service dog to a Green Beret, and that's just, and we're doing some counseling services and some things like that. So we're really proud of that and excited to bring awareness, because what it's done, it has ignited a community. The people who were not part of Airpower and didn't really understand this issue, it is like really lit a fire in our community, and I love that that we've done that. But we have upcoming our Patriot Roundup, which is July 31st, and it's at the historic Cowtown Coliseum in the Stockyards. And Moses Brings Plenty is going to be our guest speaker, and we're elevating and celebrating Native Americans and the role that they played in our war. So we're just so excited about that. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's an after party at Rodeo Exchange, and
Wow.
it's going to be an incredible event.
Am I invited?
Of course you are. Yeah, of course you are.
Awesome.
We would be sad if you weren't there. We'd be disappointed.
All right. Awesome.
And then we have our Skyball, which most people know what Skyball is. It is just a premier event. It's at Globe Life Field on October 25th. We'll be celebrating the birthday, the 250th birthday of our Army, Navy, Marines. You do not want to miss this spectacular event. It's going to be incredible. You can go to our website and learn more about it. So we hope to see you at both of those events.
Yeah, I would like to go to my first Skyball event. I saw some of the things you're doing, to find out that you're a nonprofit and you see how much goes into hosting that Skyball event. It's like, wow, you got some amazing individuals that are supporting that.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I haven't said this, but without the people that support us, our donors and our sponsors and just individuals who give to us, I mean, they're really the heroes. They're the ones that make it happen. And we're just so thankful for them and for their commitment to supporting the military.
That's awesome. Well, I always end this podcast with giving a shout out to an organization, a person, or somebody that needs to hear that needs to have that extra affirmation from you. So if you look in the camera and think of a couple people and mention them by name, that'd be great.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I got you on the spot.
You did.
Better not forget. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Better not forget me. No, I'm just kidding. Not me. No, I'm saying that someone's going to say that. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay. I mean, you mentioned her already, but
Yeah.
I just really want to thank Kara Martin, because she's been so brave through the Walk 22. She has really inspired me. Listening to her story, she got up and she spoke about it again through a television interview. And I think that bravery, because she knows it's going to help somebody else, is just really incredible. So Kara, I just want to thank you. I love you. And I just so grateful for you. And the next person I want to thank let me see. I want to thank Wanda Cox, because she's the reason that I'm here. Wanda she's the chairman of the Airpower Foundation. And without her leadership and without her commitment to Airpower, I don't think we would be here today. And so I love you like a sister. I love working with you, and I love our team, and I appreciate just your dedication and how you hold yourself and how you represent Airpower. And I love working with you.
Melissa, it's such a pleasure to have you on
Thank you
Unfinished
so
Business
much.
Podcast, podcast for veterans pursuing new life missions. You know, it's a long day coming. When I said I want to get these guys in here, and I'm so happy to have you here on the podcast.
Thank you.
And it's an honor to hear your journey through in the process you had to go through to get to a place where when those doors opened for Airpower, you God prepared you for that moment and for you to say yes.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. And Airpower Foundation and veterans like myself are very lucky to have you as an advocate for us. So
Thank
just
you
want to
so
say,
much. It's an honor and
absolutely.
humbled, honestly.
Very nice. The honor's all mine. All right, guys, that's it for Unfinished Business, a podcast for veterans pursuing new life missions. As I always say, have peace and light in you, and remember that the ocean refuses no river.
Unfinished business.